Hey, JD, I'm really excited to talk with you and really share your story with some students who'd be interested in this program and are trying to decide if it's right for them. So maybe we'll start this off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I ended up doing like out of high school, I was like really confused. I was like, wait, this is it. Um, and so, sort of like, before I could get my mind right, pretty much just doing like the default path of like college, or actually community college. I was always skeptical of like those like career counselors in high school because I'm like, I know you got an agenda. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
So I ended up doing like community college anyways, just to like I'll give it a shot and like if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out.
Hmm.
So I did like one semester of like community college, just taking like those gen eds and that kind of thing. And I remember like I had this like assignment of like, oh, like it was like writing about like why you're here, and I had like this huge like crisis because I was like I don't know. And so shortly after that, I ended up doing this, like I ended up leaving and doing this like coding boot camp in Dallas,
Hmm.
which was really interesting because I've just never really like left. I've never been that far away from home, and so it's just like a really interesting experience to just go from that to like coding like 12 hours a day, like every day, which is kind of intense. Um, and that didn't really pan out because I always just liked like the finished product more than like what it took to get there. And so I ended up, instead of that, I ended up going finding this thing called Praxis, just looking up like, college alternatives and that kind of thing. And it looked really cool. Just people getting offers while their friends are still in college or whatever, you know. And I just kind of wanted to like start my life and explore things. So I ended up doing that and got this startup job in Charleston. Moved down there during the pandemic. That was wild. And I had a good time there. Just like doing like chatbot marketing and learning all about that kind of stuff and just how like a startup works and like just like the structure of the startup and all about marketing and like teamwork and all this kind of stuff and just like how company culture and just all these things I've never really deeply been exposed to before.
Hmm.
And then like from there, I I left that and just kind of, you know, did some like soul searching and just like exploring things. Just trying to figure out, trying to orient myself into something different um to explore. And somewhere along the way, I found, Reddit and just found like I just started like browsing like r/sales,
Yeah.
and then just like in the comment section, I see course creators, they're doing their marketing. And so like I explored that because like usually like my mentality is, oh, I need to do this big thing that costs $12,000. Like, no, I don't. Like it's
Yeah.
sales. Like it's like easy to get into. There's got to be another way. So just like a lot of thinking, like there's got to be another way, and just trying to like explore that. And then yeah, I came across Course Careers. Awesome, solid course. Like the landing page and everything was like, oh dang, like they were like, oh, they hire only Course Careers people for their like the startups. So I was like, that's really cool. That must mean that they have actual value to provide. So I was hooked once I saw that. I was like, I don't need to look anymore. Um, and so that was really cool, really fun. I don't really see myself. I mean, I didn't really see myself as someone that like could do sales originally, and I was always like
Hmm.
putting it in the back of my mind, like, okay, like my last resort is sales, like, and
Yeah.
so and so I'm kind of definitely excited to start sales and just like explore that and really like essentially like change my view of myself through doing this, and just like learn a lot about myself, sales process, and just like talking to people and building relationships with people and solving problems.
For sure. And how old are you right now?
23.
So 23 years old, and you're doing some soul searching, and you decided after high school to go into college, but didn't know why you were there, so you dropped out. Then you thought being a developer might be a good career. So you did this intensive in-person boot camp
Yeah.
and you realized that being a developer isn't for you.
Yeah.
And then from there, you found Praxis and did an apprenticeship at a startup doing marketing and learning about operations.
Hmm.
And then you decided you wanted to go into tech sales, or you thought it could be interesting, and then you found out about course careers.
So in praxis, right, like there is a lot of people that are like pursue like that are have jobs in, let's say, like marketing, operations, customer success, or sales,
Yeah.
right? Like the different aspects of the startup. And so I just know a lot of people that are in sales. And so like
Mhm.
I can always talk to them about sales. And like it does seem to be a very solid career path. Like it's not like you like go in and you're like, oh, what am I doing today? Like you know what you're doing today. And I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. So when you found course careers, were you already set on starting a career in sales development, or did course careers help you really confirm that for yourself?
I was I was pretty set. I was just like, I just wanted some like foundational like skills so that like I know what I'm getting into and like
For sure.
I've got something to lean on.
Awesome. Okay, so you go through this course careers program, and could you share us a little bit about your experience going through the program? Was the material difficult or hard to understand? Were you learning a lot about sales?
Yeah, so I think the course is really solid. Especially like um the books, although I think some of them are kind of a little bit repetitive,
Yeah,
but I guess that's kind of the point. They got to drill their point into you. But I think it's just very like valuable information to like repeatedly reference and like ingrain into your practices so you can like develop like systems and just things to lean on and experiment with.
for sure. And you're actually coming from a special situation where were you only halfway through the course before you got a job offer?
Yeah, because so I was previously, so like the marketing job that I was in, like it was around chatbots, and so I started
Mhm.
making like a bunch of like LinkedIn posts about like chatbot marketing, and then I ended up um stealing this idea from like an associate of mine who's like really big into this concept called mastermind. So like a lot of people just collectively getting together to solve each other's problems.
Mhm.
And so he runs this thing called like sales mastermind, and like they just solve each other's problems all day and like help each other like close bigger deals and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I started this thing called like conversation design mastermind. So I was trying to like, I was like, let's just do it. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
And so I actually like ended up attracting a lot of attention on LinkedIn. And this guy like there was just like recruiter that was actively trying to get people to like he was his job was a recruiter to get people jobs in like the conversation design space, which is really niche and really it's hard to get a job in that space,
Yeah.
which is I was kind of looking for a job in that space at the time, but I was kind of like losing hope. And so he and I became like really good friends on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
which is he's like the only person I'm actually like really friends with on LinkedIn, which is that says something.
Yeah.
And like I like we would just have like a bunch of like back and forth calls. And I'm like the first call I had with him, I'm like, you're a recruiter? Like, why aren't you like I envision like a very like it's sort of like that, like the demonized version of sales where they're like trying to like get you to do something like aggressively.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was expecting with like a recruiter, like just someone like with an agenda. But
Mhm.
I'm like, wait, this is just the guy. And he's chill and he's cool and he's nice. And I like that.
Yeah.
He became likable very quickly, which is awesome. And he liked me. And it's funny because like he would send me messages and like half the
Mhm.
time I wouldn't respond. And I'm like, oh no, like he's gonna stop reaching out. And he just never did. He just kept reaching out. So
Yeah.
he's definitely good at his job.
Oh wow. So he was trying to recruit you for one of the companies in that space.
It's more so like trying to help me get a job in that space, but yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
And then like later on, like he actually left that job because it wasn't doing it for him.
Yeah.
And like that was around the time when I started your course, and I changed like
Mhm.
my LinkedIn headline to, looking for like sales intern, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
like somehow I came up on his LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
it like he's like building out a team right now. And
Hmm.
so he was like looking for two SDRs pretty much. And so
Wow.
he reached out to me, and like I had a call with him, and then with the CEO, and then like that was pretty much it. And then actually no, the call like with him, the CEO, and then
Mhm.
someone from the team again, and then I got an offer.
Wow, that's incredible. And can you share with us a little bit more about the company and what the job offer entails?
Sure. So it's a Germany-based company. It's called Hive MQ, and what
Mhm.
they do is they work with like this communication, like their product or service is like this communication protocol that communicate, like it's like for like IoT devices. I don't really know how it works in like a super
Yeah.
technical aspect, but also at the same time, I don't really need to know yet, at least in order to sell.
Yeah.
So it's just like this really, I just like the people that work there. Like I've never was big, but I've really never really like felt like deeply connected to like my coworkers in like any sense of the way.
Hmm.
But with this company, I actually do feel like, like I belong, and like it's like a good vibe, and it's like this is nice. Like I've never had this before. This is different. I gotta stick with
For
this.
sure.
Um, and so I think it's definitely very important to like the people that you're working with. Um, and to, have people that appreciate you. So that's really nice to see.
Hmm.
So I definitely like that aspect of them. They're also like uh, you know, European in that kind of sense too. They're
Yeah.
expanding, like they've got a couple people in the US, so they're trying to get like a good mix of like both philosophies. So they're not
Nice.
looking for someone that's like super like out there for themselves, right? Like someone that's like, yeah, I'm gonna like crush it, like, and then like just super raw sales. They're more looking for like like as long as like you make your calls for the day and like you help each
Hmm.
other out, like that's good. And so they have this thing where they're like they don't really like they have this running joke about like when are we going to talk about the numbers, which is really interesting to see because like that's so contrary to everything that I've like been told about sales. That's
Yeah.
like this is good. This is like almost too good to be true. Like I'm very excited to be working for HiveMQ.
Awesome. So it's a lot lower pressure, a lot more of a friendly environment.
Yeah, which is I think is very nice to see, at least like
Mhm.
starting out.
And is it fully remote?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you got this fully remote position, and could you give us any sort of guidance on what the compensation is like?
Yeah, it's 56K 56K yearly, I think, and then like 24K commission uncapped.
Oh wow. So you're $80,000 on target earnings
Yeah.
in a fully remote position. And where do you live?
I'm in Rhode Island.
Oh wow. So how does this compare to some of your previous jobs that you had as far as how much you're gonna make and how enjoyable you think it's gonna be?
I would say this is like around like definitely like three times, like almost like three times my earnings that I've ever earned. um, and what was the rest of the question?
Yeah, and how do you think you're gonna enjoy the job compared to your previous jobs that you've had?
Hmm. I definitely think I'm gonna enjoy the job a lot more just because of like I already have like a solid connection with
Yeah.
the people that are there. Um, and I'm just like really excited. Whereas before I was more, I had like the wrong mentality of like, oh, like I got a job offer, like I need to accept this one. And now it's more like I want to accept this one. So that's really nice to see.
Awesome. And is this going to be your first remote position that you've had?
This is my second remote person actually.
Second remote position. Okay. And how do you like working remote?
It's definitely challenging, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like I don't have a car right now, so it's actually like quite tough, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, with $80,000, you can afford
Yeah,
one now,
I
right?
should be able to find something.
Awesome. Cool. And what advice would you give to people who are thinking about starting a career in sales development, but not sure if it's right for them or not sure if they'd be able to get a job?
I would say definitely like make some like LinkedIn posts. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be like about sales necessarily. I mean, great if it is, like if you're doing the course and like you're just interacting with like people who are in the course, or like just people that you aspire to like to have like careers that you like, aspire to be in,
Hmm.
career paths that you aspire to be in. That would be like really beneficial to you, I think, long term. You might not realize it at the time, but like that stuff like compounds. And so if you're able, like, there's this big thing. I think it might have been talked about in the book, like some of the books, or
Hmm.
like it's definitely like connected, but it's like the idea that like no one likes someone who's like, yeah, I did that, like, and they take all of the credit. But if you like, you're like humble and like you're
Hmm.
like, I couldn't have done it without X, Y, and Z, and you guys are the best. And like you're like constantly like giving credit to other people, and that like boosts their ego in a sense, then they're gonna love you. So like if you do that in terms of like LinkedIn, of just like tagging people in it, and like being like, oh, like I just like watched, I just like listened to your podcast and I learned like X, Y, and Z, and then I applied it and like that was awesome. Now I'm gonna like subscribe to your newsletter or whatever. Like people love that stuff. People eat that
For
up.
sure. Yeah, it sounds like it worked out really well for you being able to
Yeah.
get this position so quickly. And I know you said that you think your communication skills or personality might not be the best fit for sales. But I mean, you're taking it head on. What would you say to other people who might feel the same?
Ooh, yeah. That's a great question. Uh, I would say like definitely like, I mean, you're gonna die, so like the only thing that we're taking towards is death. But on a lighter note, like I don't know. I think like I'm just like one of those people that kind of gets, it's kind of like almost like addicted to like, not like fear in a sense, but like just like challenging like my fears
Hmm.
in a way. I'm not someone that just does it like automatically. Like there's definitely like a period where I'm like procrastinating by like working on other fears.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like if you just don't think that you're like capable, like just like in terms of like communication, like if you try like enough and like you really like just put yourself out there, you'll be surprised what people say about you. Like in my interview, they're like, oh, like I think you have a great personality and you'd be a great addition to the team. And I'm like, really? But well, like that's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
um so it's like that whole thing where like your view of yourself may not be accurate because you're not able to view yourself from like a third person perspective.
Hmm.
So I think it's really about just almost like doubting yourself in a good way. Like maybe I am good at that, and like I'm just like insecure, and like eventually I can align these two things so like I actually know that I can do that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think as long as someone really dedicates themselves to improving and taking on a challenge and putting themselves out there, then it's definitely possible to improve your communication skills, or maybe they're not even as bad as you think.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me. And I think a ton of students are going to get a whole bunch of value from it. So I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Love
Thanks,
it.
JD.
All right. See ya.